Happy Saturday. It is 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's actually pretty cool today. We're at the end of August, so weather can kind of go either way. So I'm enjoying this mid to high 70s day. It's pretty comfortable. So today's chore is to start working with polyester resin. You may remember this is my mock-up, my test project, so to speak. It looks like something that I didn't know what I was building, but there's actually a reason for everything. This mimics all the different types of things I expect to have to do with fiberglass on the boat. You know, things like slots and openings and holes and hardware. So the back side of this, you may remember, I was doing in epoxy resin, and the rest of this is going to be done in polyester. Just a quick recap, the polyester resin is not as watertight, it's not as strong, but it's a whole lot cheaper, and it's really what most boats of this generation and pretty much all except for racing boats are made with polyester resin. So this particular boat's 41 years old now, and it's in great shape hull wise, so if it's good enough to last that long, then it's certainly good enough for me. And of course it's about 3 times cheaper than the epoxy. So make a long story short, I'll be using some of both, hoping to gain the benefits from each one. Now, something I want to show you, and that is this little booklet that I downloaded. See if you can get a good look at it. This is a how-to guide from Andy Miller at boatworkstoday.com. It's not free. I think it's $20, but it is chock full of information that for first-time fiberglassers like myself are critical. You can see that you know, I've written all sorts of different things down in it. I've got notes all over the place. It's dog-eared, it's underlined, and it's probably going to get much worse before it's all over with. Again, I'm no expert. I'm learning as I go. That's what you guys signed up for by watching me, is you get to watch me make all the mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing per se, but I've been doing a lot of research and reading and trying to learn, and now it's time to start doing. So if you have a boat project or anything else that you're using fiberglass, I highly recommend getting something like this, because Andy's a professional boat restorer, builder, and I'm not. So he's got the knowledge and I'm trying to learn. So that's enough of an intro. Here is the polyester resin from Total Boat, and I am going to actually put on my respirator because this stuff is nasty. Definitely you need to protect yourself and your lungs. So the rest of this I'm going to have to do a voiceover dub or something like that, because you won't be able to hear me. Okay, so I finished up brushing the PE resin on my mock-up test piece, and all that went fine. Nothing really to report there. So right now I'm just letting it dry, which is something to talk a little bit about. As I understand it, PE resin will not completely dry until you cover it with something that seals out all the air. You can do it one of two ways. You can put a wax in with the last coat of PE resin, and the wax kind of floats to the top and makes an airtight barrier, which allows that last coat to dry. The other thing you can do is, after you coat it, you can spray it with PVA, which is polyvinyl alcohol, and apparently there's a waxy coating in there as well. If you don't do that, the the resin will remain sticky and tacky. That's a good thing for a lot of times if you're putting on multiple layers of laminating fiberglass. And with epoxy resin, if you go past the laminating window, you have to then wait for the next day. You need to get the amine blush off with warm water and a Scotch-Brite pad. It's just kind of a coating that comes out on drying with epoxy, and then you need to rough up the surface with sanding, and of course that's a dust thing and a time thing. So one of the advantages with the polyester is you don't have to do that. I can come back tomorrow and it's going to be still a little bit sticky, and I can start laminating fiberglass on top of it with no intermediate steps. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is a downside, so to speak, of the polyester is it has a shelf life. They say to use this within 12 months of manufacture. The interesting thing is I looked all over this can and I do not see a date code anywhere. There's a sticker on the bottom here, 4050919. Who knows, maybe the 19 means it was made in 2019. I don't know. I just bought it, I think it was this spring, so I'd be a little surprised. But in any event, the cooler temperatures that you keep this at, the longer it lasts. All the way up to and including keeping it in a refrigerator. Just make sure you let it warm up before you use it. Will get you some extra time. But keeping it in hotter weather, hotter conditions is going to make that time go down. So that's something else that I've learned. Gosh, I don't think there's anything else I want to share with you tonight, so I will say goodbye. Hey now everybody, Sunday afternoon, we're back at it. So yesterday I went ahead and put on the first coating of polyester resin and came back today to check on it. You might remember that we talked about yesterday that this isn't going to fully cure without putting on PVA or polyvinyl alcohol, which is it's a coating agent that keeps air away from it so it can fully cure. So I was really anxious to see how this turned out. Most of this is pretty dry to the touch, just from my understanding and reading and research. Apparently if you go to sand this, even though it feels dry, it kind of gums up the sandpaper. So the other thing, this piece right here is actually still sticky. So that certainly does lend to the knowledge and wisdom that it's never going to cure unless you put the PVA on it. So I got myself a spray bottle, so when I am ready to do that I can spray it on. So a couple other things. On the epoxy coating, I have a couple of these, basically they're threaded inserts. This is an insert and this is something called a T-nut. And I wanted to test out how they work with fiberglassing because that's something I'm going to be doing as part of the seats. And this is a 1/4-20 threaded insert and it still works just fine. This guy here is a 1032 T-nut and it was kind of stuck, so I put a screwdriver on and it started stripping out the head. So I got a pair of pliers and sure enough the head twisted off. So that tells me I'm going to have to do something to protect the threads from getting gummed up with the fiberglass. I'm not sure if I can put maybe some of the PVA would keep it from sticking. I don't know, I'll have to experiment with that. Something else I noticed, using the fiberglass to seal the wood, in here it's real nice and smooth. I think I got a nice heavy coat on that, but as you go around some of the other sides like this, it's rough, and so I don't think I got enough polyester resin on there to really seal this edge, but some of the other ones were. So again, just my reading and research, it sounds like if you need to seal the edge of a piece of plywood, you're looking at least 2 coats to do that, and I think that's probably very, very wise. The other thing, I don't think we talked about this yesterday, the reason that we put the pre-coating on the flat surfaces is the plywood is going to be very thirsty, and it's going to draw the resin into the pores. So if you were to just spread the resin and start putting layers of fiberglass on, the wood is actually going to wick the fiberglass resin away from the fiberglass mat or whatever you're using, and it's going to be a dry layup. Not very strong, and certainly not very waterproof. So the idea here is to get a nice smooth surface to seal the wood and keep it from wicking. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mix up some polyester peanut butter. We did the peanut butter with the epoxy the last time, and I'm going to kind of use that same recipe for the polyester based version of that, and we're going to see what the difference is. Personally, I don't know that it's going to be that great of an experiment. Polyester is not as strong as epoxy, so since we're making glue, why make weaker glue than stronger glue? Cost difference, I don't know if that's enough to worry about with the little amount that you're making. So we'll see what happens, but let me go ahead and grab all my PPE, and I'll show you what I'm up to.